Episode 164 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded December 28th, 2017. Marvel TV Reboot. Guys, welcome back. Did you guys have a good holiday?
I did have a good holiday.
I had a great holiday.
Yeah? What'd you guys do?
I ate food and opened presents.
I also ate food and opened presents. I gave some presents as well.
Stop copying me.
You stopped copying me.
Did you guys have a party together? Is this just what's going on?
Leslie's on to us.
I did not get my invite.
Throw the smoke bomb in the amnesia gas.
This is actually just a confrontation I'm having on mic here.
Wait, are you recording this? That's uncomfortable.
Gotcha. Got you sons of bitches.
We got a Patreon request for an intervention.
So we are doing a special episode this week, guys. We're going to be talking about the big merger that happened at Disney. And, maybe this is a little bit overdue, but we had a special request from our patron EJ over on patreon.com, and he asked if we could discuss the future of shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the other Marvel shows, now that Disney has bought Fox. He would just like to hear our thoughts on it, and also, do we think that they would scrap shows like Inhumans now that they have the mutants back? Because it was probably a bad idea even using the Inhumans in the first place, and it wasn't really executed very well. So, yes, this is going to be our topic for the whole episode. We're going to take a look at some of the different shows that both Marvel and Fox had been running prior to the big merger, how those might kind of shake out. A lot of this, of course, is going to be speculative. We're not the people kind of pulling the strings in this industry at all. But I think it'll be an interesting dive into kind of where this could potentially go.
If I was the person pulling the strings, there would be an ongoing Hawkeye show, and D-Man would be featuring in Avengers 4.
An ongoing Hawkeye show. I feel like you know Marvel so well. That's what you're going to get. All right, guys. Before we get into all that, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And we wanted to say this is an episode that's brought to you via a patron who donated a particular tier and got to actually choose a topic for us to discuss. We're very excited to do that, EJ, and we want to say thank you so much for your patronage.
Yes.
We also want to say if you guys want to help us out as well, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. There you can make a per episode pledge. Give us a couple bucks. Give us however much you guys feel that you have. If it is the giving spirit that has come upon you, throw those dollars our way and we will put it to good use. And we do bonus little exclusive episodes just for you guys, those of you who donate. So stay tuned to those if you guys haven't yet. You guys can also help us out over on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating, write a little review. We'll read that here on the show. Great way to help us out. That does not actually cost you guys any money.
It's true.
And we are a proud member of the Permanent Record Podcasting Network.
Permanent Record.
And this month, we have been promoting one of our very own TV Dudes spin-off podcast projects.
Yes.
Les has been going through The Good Die Young, his first season of a new podcast venture that is covering The Middleman.
Yep.
How's it going, Les?
It's going great. I think around the time that this airs, we're on episode 8. Episodes are coming out every Monday, and then interviews every Thursday.
You're getting close to the end.
Yeah, so I guess there's 12 episodes, and then we're going to have one about the comic. So it's coming to the back half now.
Grant, you remember this feeling about the time we were doing Beach Cops? Les looks sane. I got to say, Les looks great. I mean,
I do look great. My old Luke cosplay is coming along well. People at home can't relish in the white beard.
You look better than I think Grant and I both felt at this point in our podcast. So we were thinking, why on earth did Randy do this?
Not struggling, huh? Man, you know what?
It's fun. The interviews are the best, but
getting Nate to do all that art and then I had to color it, that was a dumb commitment I made too.
Yeah, I lucked into the art. I didn't have to color shit. I got Grant to build a website, and then all I have to do is edit all the episodes.
Oh, man, that's a good call. So thegoodDieYoungTV.com. Go check it out. Go to iTunes, give it a 5-star rating, write a little review. Go tell your friends, spread the word on Reddit, on Twitter, on Facebook. Tell everyone, go subscribe.
On Donner, on Dancer. Wait, sorry, I got caught up.
You're a couple days late on that, my friend. All right, so let's jump over to some listener questions. If you guys liked us on Facebook at the TV or facebook.com/TV dudes. Once a week, Randy puts up a little post, asks some questions, or asks you guys to give us some questions, and we get a good slew of them. And Randy, what is our first question?
Our first question comes to us from Dennis McElwain, who says, "Hey dudes, with the Arrowverse shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming back strong, what TV shows would you like to see recover from slumps or awful beginnings?" First of all, I don't know that I believe you about the Arrowverse or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I reject the entire premise of this question. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not recovering.
But shows that I would like to see recover from slumps or awful beginnings. I'm trying to think of shows that have sort of dropped off in my estimation.
I feel like if they make a bad first impression, there's too many good shows right now that make good first impressions, and they hit the ground running that I don't feel I should be so charitable as to wish someone can turn their ship around and kind of fix their shit. That said, I mean, you know, we always think about like the Office and Parks and Rec as shows, like comedies that did it. And for that matter, I guess all of the Marvel DC show or the Marvel Netflix shows, I would love for those to actually become good, but I also kind of want them to start from square one and recast and not be this Marvel Knights doom and gloom with subpar actors and too much padded script.
That's an interesting notion, though, because the Netflix shows, like, I really liked Daredevil season 1, and then I liked things increasingly less as it went on. Is it possible, like, could Jessica Jones win me back? I don't know. I'm curious. I hadn't thought about, like, I was trying to think of shows that I liked and then that fell out of my estimation, and the Marvel Netflix is a really good example of that. Like, I really liked those at first, and then when I saw that was the only flavor they had, I got real bored real fast.
It's not just that those are the only, like, I don't want to see those arc back up. I'm actually having a hard time thinking of any show that, like you said, Grant, that started bad that I actually want to see improve. At this point, I'd always just kind of rather see them stop and start over, because I know that Hollywood has no problem rebooting, redoing all this. So why keep throwing money at bad ideas that you have to waste story time fixing? Like the Marvel Netflix shows, I like the start of Daredevil, but they didn't just create a universe. They created a universe out of the bad parts of those shows.
It's true.
Like they've doubled down and sewn in the lame, slow, weird parts of those shows, and they just keep reinforcing it. Like Defenders felt like a rally cry of like, this announcement of nope, we know what we're doing. We are purposely making the things you don't like into the main parts of these shows for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
I kind of like to see them start over.
I think you guys are right. Like I don't want to be the guy who writes off shows after 3 episodes, because occasionally I do. Like The Mick, I wrote off early, and then I really wound up loving it.
I wrote off Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
That whole first season was awful for me.
It was bad. That's one of those weird exceptions, though. I think.
But it is the exception that proves the rule, and the rule is nobody gets a second chance.
All this said, Les is really rooting for the OA to make a turnaround.
I know. Season 2 though. Season 2 is going to be great. I think she dies again.
Oh,
in real life.
You mean Wah? Isn't that how you pronounce that? Wah?
Wah. I wish people would stop mispronouncing that show.
Javier Mancia says, "Hey dudes, I know in the topic there you mentioned the possibilities of TV when it comes to the Disney Fox deal, but I just got to ask, what are your wildest dreams when it comes to the films of Marvel now? Of course, we know what it means, the X-Men, Deadpool, maybe the Fantastic Four finally joining the Avengers, come Infinity War 2, and continuing into Phase 4, but it's still a fun question to be answered by you guys. Thank you, and keep on keeping on, TV dudes." We could do a whole Patreon on this, by the way.
Yeah, in fact, I think we did kind of
we
go into that a bit.
But that was before it was confirmed.
That's true.
So, wildest dreams, I don't want to reboot. That's the first thing. I've seen people like, well, just reboot and bring, start in the 60s with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. And I want to build on where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is.
I'm fine with them doing their own thing with the X-Men and with Fantastic Four. You do not need to touch what Fox did, and I don't actually care for Fox's iterations of either of those.
But you want them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You don't want them to be their own
and they
thing.
have that coming up right now because they have the perfect opportunity. They have the Infinity Wars. They have the Infinity Gauntlet. They have reality shaping and merging of worlds. And all you have to do is suddenly have whatever Thanos does with that gauntlet, merge the world of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Deadpool with this other Marvel cinematic world. This explains why Deadpool actually has some sort of connection to it. He seems to have a familiarity with it, but because he is so crazy that he is in both worlds or whatever.
I don't want that.
I do.
I don't want them to change the reality. This is what happened, because I've seen this happen in comics over and over again. Every time you change your reality, DC's worse about it, Marvel's done it too, it becomes less real. It becomes harder to invest in, and your suspension of disbelief gets harder. If you can't trust the history, if suddenly Captain America was on the battlefield alongside Wolverine, then what exactly happened in First Avenger? And First Avenger doesn't work as a movie anymore because that's not how it happened anymore. And they're essentially erasing all the movies I liked. I do not want that. I want them to find a way to incorporate it going forward. I want the Infinity Gem to cause some sort of wave that starts mutants being born now. I want the Fantastic Four to be the first celebrity superheroes and the first family of superheroes, but I want them to start now.
Do you want them to be you don't want them to be a 60s period piece?
I do not want them to be a 60s period piece. You could make the Fantastic Four a 60s period piece the same way they made S.H.I.E.L.D. going back. They sort of worked in Ant-Man and this sort of notion of like a Cold War S.H.I.E.L.D. work as part of the Marvel backstory. If you did it as a thing where the Fantastic Four was unknown to most people. But I don't want a thing where it's revealed that, oh yeah, everybody knew about the Fantastic Four in the 60s. We just kind of didn't talk about it for a while. I don't want them to undercut the reality of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they've sewn it together so well.
Yeah, they've done too much with Howard Stark at this point for them to suddenly reveal that Reed Richards is out there, and
Smarter.
at no point has Howard ever reached out to him about any of this shit.
Yes.
Like none of the Agent Carter stuff, like none of this got on Reed's radar at all. To me, to make a 60s period piece like that, you would have to hand wave him out of the story in a way that just wastes Reed. Because otherwise you'd have to reboot the whole universe, and I really don't want to see them. To me, and I don't think they would do that. Like,
yeah, I don't either.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is churning along just great, and they've got 15, 20 movies planned according to Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
So I think they're just going to incorporate these in is my hope. But what I want to happen is the Infinity Gem type thing to make a wave and start mutants running.
Exactly. I think that's the way to go, and I think it's likely to be what happened. Here's what I do with the FF. There's one of the ways. There's numerous ways you can do the FF, but I think what I would like them to do in this 5 seconds I've just thought in my head.
The FF. The
Fantastic Four.
I would like them to do the 60s. Do them that they are trying to grab an experimental spacecraft to beat the Russians to the moon, all that kind of thing. Have them go through some kind of portal or something in space that not only gives them powers but deposits them in 2018 or 2020.
Yeah, I don't want to see them time jump forward. I'd just rather them start it.
See, that's the other version. I think the FF as a family and as celebrities in modern day would be a very different thing than what the Avengers did and what the X-Men did.
But what if, since we're already so familiar with them, they it seems dire. There's no way to stop what's going on with Thanos, and a portal opens up, and the Fantastic Four come out from it. They get trapped in our world, but they save the multiverse, and suddenly they're the heroes of our Earth.
I don't want
because they come and save the day.
That. I don't want them to punk out the Avengers like that.
I just feel like
they come in to align with the Avengers and tell them the way to solve it.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think I just want them to be the start of Phase 4. Like, okay, everybody knows superheroes are a thing now, and this family figured out a way to get powers, and now they know how to sort of be celebrities and be science adventurers and that kind of thing.
To me, you've got Reed up and coming in a world where this kind of super science already existed, and he's an incredibly smart guy, and you're coming off the end of the Infinity War stuff, which is going to bring Guardians of the Galaxy into the main universe, which is going to open up the idea of Celestials in space, which hasn't been part of Howard Stark in the previous super science stuff. So Reed's going to come out of college about the time that space exploration into this kind of stuff is a thing for humans on the planet,
Right.
especially after the incident, the Chitauri, all
And
that.
the Guardians and the guy show up.
So
and
I
all
feel like after you've introduced Guardians into the main Marvel Cinematic Universe, that'll be a point where you could end with a stinger of a kid going, all right, I'm going to be the first just normal human to send a spaceship into that thing around that celestial.
So you'd go young Reed.
Yeah, and
'Cause
I think
I
Reed
feel like
would come out of grad school, and he and Doom would break off at the same time. You'd have, because at this point you've got Strange established full magic, you've
Yeah.
got Guardians establishing full space. That
Yeah.
puts Reed and Doom in the right spots.
True.
It also lets you bring in Xavier as this guy running a school, which suddenly has all these new powered people that are coming out.
Yeah. See, my notion, I want Reed to be a little dad-like. I want him in his 30s, kind of like Ant-Man. I also, for Doom, I want Latveria. And I want him to be
I
scary.
want all of Latveria.
But what I think, this is something I thought about with what happened to the country in Avengers 2, whatever the country was.
Sokovia.
Sokovia is a broken state. So if there's a Sokovian national who is sort of charismatic and rises up to sort of bring order to that place and just
calls it Latveria?
and renames it.
What it used to be called before.
Yes, but the old country and uses the old country's, architecture and that kind of thing. And that guy's Doom. That
You
would
could
work.
have a movie arc where the villain is a weird science magician nationalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know if they'll do any of this, but it ultimately comes down to I trust Marvel to do right by me in the movies.
So even though Doctor Strange was not, it's one of my favorites of the Marvel movies, but I know it's not on everybody's top list of their films, but Doctor Strange impressed me in the theater just because the origin of the guy in the movie is studying real damn hard.
Yeah.
Like, his whole montage of training is stealing books from the library and reading them. Like, as an ex-nerdy kid sitting there going, oh, man, that's fucking awesome. Like, your super training montage is studying. And as I try to think, looking at this question of what has Marvel Studios done that gives me faith or optimism that they're going to finally do something after how many failed Fantastic Four movies,
Right.
that even had actors I liked and were just still bad.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's Doctor Strange. I look at the
Yeah.
tone of Ant-Man and the tone of Doctor Strange, and I know that Marvel Studios can take Fantastic Four and finally get that it's not a dour movie about teens lost across dimensions,
Right.
or whatever the hell that last one was. that Doom is not like a fashion icon with lightning powers. I feel like Marvel Studios could get a Fantastic Four movie where it is just insane
Yep.
Tomorrowland about a family of celebrity superheroes.
But better than Tomorrowland.
But better than Tomorrowland.
I mean, Spider-Man as well. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that
I
they're like,
loved what they did with Homecoming.
oh, just give us back our favorite child
Yeah.
and we will just do it correctly
So see,
finally.
Not going back and doing 60s Peter is the best reason I have for not going back and doing
That's
60s
reasonable.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Because the reboot, even though Peter Parker is a teenager in high school in America now, is a way different thing than Peter Parker
Yeah.
in high school in the 60s or 70s, whenever we all grew up with him.
The only downside for me is that I didn't love that Peter. I came to love him, but I'm never going to get my Peter Parker, which would have had to be a period piece. And I worry about the same thing for Fantastic Four.
Man, your point though, Les, about the Celestials coming in and
Yeah.
that being a new drive for a renewed space exploration.
I keep picturing
It's pretty
James
perfect.
Cromwell trying to launch the first warp drive in Star Trek, but still.
That's a really good point. It's a really good point.
That's
All
a
right.
fun question.
So Marvel Cinematic dudes out. Is that
Let's get back into
back
it.
to TV? Okay. Our buddy Nick Tice.
Nick Tice.
Nick Tice.
Tice.
I got it. Hey, dudes. After rewatching some episodes of The Defenders, I am stunned by how boring the Hand are. How do you take the concept Highlanders, but they're ninjas, and are led by Sigourney motherfucking Weaver, and make it into the least interesting part of the show? What villains do you think would be a good fit for the Defenders to face off against next time around? P.S. Les, your latest episode of TGDY was a great Christmas present to wake up to. I am really impressed with how much work you've obviously put into it. Anyone who's already listening should really give it a chance.
In fairness, he's on that episode. You got to see what's coming next Monday on New Year's. The regular episode that would be coming any Monday.
So, yeah, who's the Defenders face off against? And how do they fuck up? Because, yeah, the Hand are badass ninjas with like that you when you cut them they vanish. And Sigourney Weaver is supposed to be like their immortal leader. There is no way that should have been as boring as it was.
I would argue that it is not the most boring thing on the Defenders.
No, I agree.
But simply because the Defenders really swung for the I don't give a shit fences. And I have to say, I haven't really been that excited about ninjas since Ninja 3.
The Domination?
When I was like 10.
Yeah.
I don't find ninjas super friggin' interesting. But he's right. The hand were boring as hell.
Yeah.
It should have been. I mean, they keep going back to the same lame fucking villains just because they can throw out a bunch of faceless people for them to have to fight.
It should have been the Kingpin.
It should have been Fin Fang Foom if they're gonna have them fight
giant...
inside of the body of a dead dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
No, have an actual dragon there. If that's all the thing you're kind of hinting at about Iron Fist punching a dragon, have them fight a dragon.
I think it would have been great
epic.
to see the Kingpin figure out that there's some kind of up and coming gang doing a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
He can't figure out what their plan is, but he can disrupt and take it over. And what he realizes he has at the end of it is a giant hole with a dragon in it.
Yeah.
Only he's the Kingpin and doesn't believe in this, but now he has Fin Fang Foom.
See,
that would have been bug shit crazy.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If we're going to do another season of Defenders, God, I hope we're not. But if we are, first of all, bring the Punisher in and have the tension of Punisher having to work with Daredevil and Luke Cage and those guys. Like something that's big enough that the Punisher has to get involved and work with them. The villain, I think, should be the Kingpin, and it should be Elektra and Bullseye, and he should be basically trying to take over the Hand. Like, do crazy Frank Miller shit.
Don't worry.
I don't want to watch any of that. Is the problem. Like that doubles down on the dark just awfulness of all of this.
Oh yeah, it's the only thing I want. Basically, what I want, if you're going to do the Defenders again, go back, look what Frank Miller did, and fucking do that. That's the only way I see it being remotely interesting.
It gets back to the question of like, fixing a show to arc it back up to or arc it into good, or just rebooting.
Yeah.
Because if you have to bring in a character like the Punisher, whose only redeeming quality for me is that he might shoot everyone in the room, you have a problem show. Like if you have to bring in a character that I'm hoping in any given scene might kill one of the heroes, then you should just start over with your show.
See, I go back to Frank Miller stuff and Frank and to a lesser extent Chuck Dixon stuff on Marvel Knights, but when Punisher is working alongside Daredevil, it is the most interesting Punisher ever is, because the whole point of it is Daredevil's having to work with a guy who's basically a villain, and that's the only time Punisher works is when he's a villain who you have to deal with. He should be more almost an adversary. And I think that would maybe be interesting. But yeah, honestly, I don't know who they could bring in to make it interesting.
Just scrap the whole show.
Yeah, just scrap the whole line.
I hope that this giant corporate merger utterly fucks Netflix's license for this.
Yeah.
And that it just restarts this.
That and them moving Disney to its own channel where they can do their own programming.
And that's honestly, I hate to say it, but my only hope is that like the streaming Disney channel, whatever, Disney S All Access or whatever it is, that's going to have a whole host of these shows restarted. And hopefully it doesn't go down in quality like it did when they took over the Avengers cartoon.
To be fair, Netflix doesn't need them anyway.
Yeah, Netflix has 100 shows every week.
And Netflix has as many subscribers as all of cable.
Yep.
No. Yeah. Netflix, I don't know if you guys know this. You guys might not be keeping on your news while you're listening to the podcast, but as we were recording this, Netflix announced 87 new shows, all to start next Friday.
They have to. I mean, they actually, otherwise their CEO's kids will be hurt.
Right.
Yeah, they have to announce a certain number of new shows per day.
It's like Speed. There's a bunch of guys in a room. They have to pitch a certain amount of ideas.
They made a deal with Mephisto.
They're just sweating and naming off like Weird Al Yankovic UHF level like shows.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, Spatula City.
Yeah, if you don't pitch 10 shows per second, the bus will explode.
This is actually how Netflix works.
I would watch Spatula City. It sounds great.
All right, final question comes from Rob McCarthy, and he says, and we're going back to the movie. Sorry, folks. If the Fantastic Four does get folded into the movieverse, do you see any way for the FF to be important? I mean, besides the FF being the only heroes in a separate universe. I choked down Peter Parker being boy's sidekick to Tony Stark. I'm way too big an FF fan for that to work.
Ah, that's interesting.
Can they play? Yes, I think they can.
I mean, Spider-Man being boy's sidekick is only in so much as that it still was a way for them to do a little bit of an origin story for him
Yeah.
without us having to see the origin story.
Yeah.
He's a young kid. He's 16
Yeah.
in this, and he's still trying to figure out a lot of his shit. So it's kind of perfect.
I think
in a way.
Les nailed it. If Reed Richards is the guy who discovers the negative zone or the way to get out into space and really do some stuff, that's bigger than anything Tony Stark has done.
Well, and I think that they could rationalize it with against Tony's ego with him basically being in a room going, well, I mean, I would have gotten us to space to explore a damn Celestial, but I was in a Hulkbuster armor fighting. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
college kid just has time.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Like, I can see Tony just like why Reed hasn't been in it before, and then
I think Tony's
going
going to die. I think now that they have Fantastic Four, why keep Tony? Like, you have a
And let
brand
Reed
new
step in.
genius to step in and kind of lead everyone.
I can't see them killing off around. Robert Downey Jr. is one. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. is too useful to kill off.
He's great, but they don't
I
need
see
him anymore.
I could see them doing it across like introducing Fantastic Four across like two stingers in like a couple of different movies. You have one where somebody says at the end like, or you just see a thing in the background of like, kid sends up experimental space probe, blah blah blah, and you know, all Easter egg, all the fans go, oh shit, that's you and your college buddies, that's gonna go bad.
You see a little kid playing in the backyard going, I wish I could be a rock. That's
Yeah, exactly, like that kind of shit. And then in the next
I have
one,
the worst stingers.
then in the next one you have you have some problem at the end of the movie like Thor appearing to Doctor Strange and that kind of stinger.
Yeah.
And you have somebody going, so wait, we're dealing with what? Like something called the negative zone. Like, well, does anyone in the room know? But like, no, there's one person on the planet that knows what that is.
Yeah.
And it's this kid. And go, no, I'm not calling him. Fuck that kid. Like, you could introduce it across a couple of stingers, and then by the time their actual movie comes out, I think Marvel audience would get why they're new, why they're suddenly important. Like, Reed's definitely the guy that could discover something that everybody just has to turn around and go, who are you? No. Listen to him.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I love the idea of sort of being the opposite of Spider-Man, where Spider-Man was the kid, like, Tony loved him. He's like, oh, this kid's me when he's younger. I'm going to mentor him. And Reed Richards, he, like, goes to him, and Reed's like, what do I need you for? You're old.
Like, why would I drink?
Yeah.
What kind of loose cannon bullshit are you?
Why would I need you?
Why does all this look like a fashion runway?
Do you
This
not
is-
value your brain cells? You can do so much with it.
So Pepper, you have to do everything for him? That's pathetic. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I could just see Reed being like the opposite of Tony, like has all his shit together,
Yeah.
and is insufferable for it.
Yeah.
I still want Stephen Colbert to just play Reed Richards.
Oh my God! Oh, that'd be
I know.
amazing.
I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't fit with the younger narrative, but I still just remember the version from Venture Brothers where he's like basically
Oh, yes,
a proxy
yes.
for him. I'm like, I just want Stephen Colbert.
Erase everything we said. Stephen Colbert for fear
Yes.
for Reed Richards.
He's so perfect.
Yes, in which case I would actually, if Colbert is going to be the casting, I would allow for the plot device of them being brought over from another timeline.
Also, John Stewart for The Thing.
Okay, deal. Yeah. Just curmudgeonly.
And Samantha Bee for The Invisible Girl. Invisible Woman, excuse me.
John Oliver will make the weirdest version of Johnny Storm, though.
He's going to be Herbie.
so just a flaming British man.
Guys, there's some big news.
Oh,
for
yeah?
NBC fans, NBC comedy fans.
Yeah.
That Cheers revival I pitched, still no word. But The Office is going to get a reboot. Yeah.
I might be the only person in this room that kind of wants to see that.
Why?
The Office just was classic. And
was.
you know what? A lot of those people it was such an ensemble cast that I'm good with seeing some of them. I kind of miss it. I was watching it the other day, came on, and I was just watching some old episodes. I'm like, it's really good. I feel like without Jim and Pam and without Michael Scott, it really loses something. But it's not beyond them to cast other great people to step into those roles and figure out a way to define them again.
Yeah, but if it's not going to have Michael Scott, and it's not going to have Jim and Pam, and it's not going to have Dwight, and it's not going to have Oscar, and Creed got arrested, and why call it The Office? Like, just do another show instead of tagging the baggage on with... I mean, it's going to have to live up to an expectation with a whole new cast. I feel like it's like the extra season of Scrubs, where you're going to cast great people who are going to do good work, and their show's doomed.
I say call it The Office, and actually, who do they need to keep? Keep Toby.
I'm afraid they're going to... I'm afraid
about
we're going
it.
to hinge a show around, like, Phyllis.
Nah.
Yeah.
I would only keep Toby.
You guys remember that The Office was not great toward the end, right? Like we already had the bad version of The Office.
But remember, it also wasn't great in the beginning. It was not
But we're
good.
gonna
He was a different character. All of them were in the first
Redo it and hope we hit the middle again. I already thought the U.S. had their shot with this. Like the British did their Office, and now the U.S. do our Office, and now it has to. We're supposed to move on to another country that can now do their Office.
India is supposed to do their Office.
Israel, I'd watch a Brazilian Office.
Oh, yeah.
But why do we do it again?
Yeah.
Well, I think that the template is solid. You just are following a coworker space, and you could just put in any batch of crazy characters who love looking at the camera deadpan, and they don't actually have to fall back on the characters that we had. It's Michael Schur, right?
Mike Schur?
Mike Schur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He knows those kind of characters.
Wait,
he knows how to mix them all in and put them in there.
Do we think Mike Schur is involved in this? Because there's no indication that he is.
Probably not. It's
Because
probably
of
just
Mi-
Greg Daniels again.
Yeah, because if Mike
producing.
Schur was involved in anything, then yeah, do whatever, reboot whatever you want. I will watch anything Mike Schur does, but I don't think this is going to be the people who are running the tail end of it at best, right?
Well, which of those actors are still available?
None of them. I mean, Jim's off being Jack Ryan.
He's Jack Ryan. Apparently, we need to check that out soon.
Jenna Fisher, I don't know what she's doing, but I mean, you bring her without Jim, it's just a sad story.
Oh, yeah.
Craig Robinson is off hunting ghosts.
Is that show still on?
I don't know.
That should have gotten canceled. Okay, here's a question. They take those two guys, Craig Robinson and whatever his name
Adam
is.
Scott.
Adam Scott. Have them be the new kind of people leading the office.
Sure, I'd watch that. I
Right,
mean,
there you go.
I would give that a shot. I still feel like this is essentially a new show that
Yeah.
they're just going to call The Office, and I understand how in a room the marketing guys pitched that this already has brand recognition and name recognition.
Yeah.
But I don't think they finished that pitch where someone explained that gets everyone to watch the first episode to shit on it because
Yeah.
it's not going to be The Office,
Right.
But they're calling it The Office.
I always felt like The Office, it feels like it could be an anthology thing. It doesn't have to be in Scranton. It doesn't have to be those
It's going to
people.
be in
but it
Scranton.
is in Scranton.
Maybe.
Nope,
No,
they're saying it in
they're
the article.
calling for continuation of the story of Scranton's Dunder
That's the
Mifflin
pitch
offices.
they picked up is the
They should
continuation of Scranton.
They should totally pick up a new office.
Exactly.
Yes.
Not a paper company.
If they firmly made it an anthology, then I would get keeping the brand but doing something different with it. I feel like they're dooming themselves. This is going to be the zombie season of Scrubs.
So they mentioned, by the way, that they mentioned what happened to all the characters. I had forgotten that Jim and Pam moved to Austin, Texas. If this was a revival where we find out 5 years down the road or whatever, Jim and Pam and what they're doing in Austin, like that's the story. They work in an office in Texas. That I'd be more interested in watching.
Not going to happen with them unless they recast Jim and Pam.
I know, but that's the version I'd be interested in seeing. But a version of like, hey, what happened to Scranton? Who gives a fuck what happened to Scranton? I don't care if there was a nuclear bomb that went off and the office is in the middle of a mutant wasteland. No, I'd watch that version.
NBC just needs a hit again.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? I'm very curious. I'll still probably check out unless the initial advertisements also just look god awful.
All right, you guys ready for me to do a total 180?
Oh boy.
Because Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt are circling a Mad About You revival not for NBC, and I am totally on board with this.
Why?
I loved Mad About You. It was the funniest Paul Reiser's ever been. I had a huge crush on Helen Hunt through that, and haven't liked her in almost anything else. And I thought as like a comedy about married people, which I started out single and got married through watching that show, I have a huge fondness for the way that show worked. I thought it was really funny. I liked the characters. I liked the actors they brought in. And then they did this really good finale that had a little emotional weight about, what happens with their daughter who grows up and has kind of a screwed up relationship with her parents and is played by Janine Garofalo. And now they want to do a revival where they go back and show a period between that, since they've always showed us the ending, where they show us Paul and Jamie as empty nesters because Mabel's gone off to college. I want to see that.
I want to see. Well, I like Paul Reiser and I like Helen Hunt, but I'm with Randy. I haven't actually liked them separately nearly as much as I liked them on this show together. And I'd like to see them together on a show again, but they kind of have the opposite problem from like redoing The Office. They can't be on a show that you call anything else.
Yeah.
Like, they can't be a couple on a show that you call
Mad About
something
You.
else,
Yeah.
and me not just call it the Mad About You thing you're pretending is like like Cosby Mysteries or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's going to be Mad About You no matter what they call it. So in this case, I'm kind of glad that they're just bringing them back for this. I mean, I want to see the same way if you brought Ted Danson and Kirstie Alley back.
Yeah.
For something,
Yeah.
you better call it Cheers, or call it something that references the fact that you know it's in that universe.
Although you're referencing the Cosby Mysteries, does make me think a story in which
That mystery was solved.
a story in which Paul and Jamie have become like Nick and Nora style detectives when their daughter goes off to college. I'd watch that.
Ooh, yes, I would. I would also watch that.
I was just thinking, about 2 years ago, every single show was what movie can you take and adapt into a TV
Yeah.
show?
Now it's all the reboots.
And now we're in a bunch of not just reboots but also revivals. Just bring it back. It's still it never died.
You know the other thing that gives me hope about this? Paul Reiser in that show Married was great. And Married is a terrible show. Like, it was not a good show. But him playing this sort of curmudgeonly old dude that he tried to play in the Paul Reiser show and failed miserably at, he was perfect there. I think he found his speed. And I'm wondering if they can do a version of older Paul and Jamie where they're interesting again.
He's really good in Stranger Things too.
He really
Look at
was good in Stranger Things too.
So I would like this show to work again because I really, really liked it. And even in the weaker seasons, I found stuff I really liked. So I could see it. Also, what's interesting is NBC is not, Sony's in talks with them, but NBC may not be involved. This might go to like Netflix or something.
NBC. I don't know. I would pass. I've never seen an episode of Mad About You, and I would not be interested in this. This is even lower in my interest than Roseanne.
Grant, what level of patronage do we require for you to sit down and watch all of Mad About You with me? What is the patron tier for that?
Dude, that sounds painful. As
Oh
fuck,
my
And I like that show, and that sounds really painful.
All of it? How many seasons are there?
Let's say 3. You only have to watch.
Say
You only have to
three.
watch. You only have to watch 3 seasons. You'll have to watch
This
3
is a
seasons.
90s sitcom with like 1 million episodes per season.
No, there's only like 5 or 6 seasons. It's not that long.
Like 50 episodes each.
Something like that.
I would have to say I would need a $30
$30 patron.
patron.
Is there anyone out there who wants to subject Grant to 3 seasons of Mad About You?
Oh man!
Is there anyone out there besides me who might just make a fake account
Don't-
and buy a $30 patron account?
I'm gonna put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode. Don't listen to this episode. It's not worth it because I don't need that.
All right. This is interesting. Netflix now has as many subscribers as cable television. So this is a new study that shows that, Netflix it's published by PricewaterhouseCoopers, which I think they were the guys from Mad Men.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And showing that basically a number of Americans subscribe to Netflix now equals the number of Americans who subscribe to cable television.
Wow.
Based on a survey of 2,000 average customers ages 18 to 59 with annual household incomes above $40,000.
I bet there's a distinct line in that age range. I bet
yeah.
between 18 and 49, I bet you hit 40, and above that there is cable.
Yeah.
And below that there is Netflix.
There's some outliers, though, because
My parents still get discs mailed to them and don't get streaming, but they have cable.
Guys, how is it though that we are still in this weird wild west of streaming then? Like, it just feels like the tide has clearly shifted, but there's been no single company that has been able to be the one ring that truly
Well, there
unites
were laws in
all
the
of
way,
these.
Grant.
Yeah,
there were laws in the way, and now there aren't.
don't worry about that now.
Oh, is it happening?
I don't know, but it will in the next couple of years.
Yep,
We're
pretty
just
much.
gonna be throttled
Oh, yeah.
into. Oh, do you want to see all of those?
Well,
Gotta buy.
let's see. All right, so Netflix has more customers than cable.
Yep.
But cable still controls
pipelines.
internet.
Yep.
So when Netflix stops working over the next year worth of shit and everybody starts to go back to the video on demand offerings that cable's going to bring in, because there's going to be a move against the consolidation of this. Comcast tried to buy Fox, if I remember right, and Disney
Yeah.
won it out.
Yeah.
So Comcast has a next move, and it's going to be to choke Netflix down, and it'll be legal now.
Here's the thing, Les. Your parents
boy.
may be future visionaries. We may all be fucking watching discs again.
Yeah. If only I had a hard drive of a bunch of torrented shit from that would be illegal though.
So here's the thing, though. Netflix has gotten big enough that I could see them making basically a partnership with one of these cable companies and saying, look, don't throttle our shit and we'll merge with you.
Oh yeah, there'll be a genuflection somewhere.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Comcast will pick up Netflix, or Netflix will pick up Comcast, AOL, Time Warner style.
But that is interesting because it feels like we've all been predicting this for a while. Greg harped on this every week about how the business was changing, and it is weird how slow it is, and at the same time how fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know where it's going to go. And the net neutrality rule is like a whole nother wrinkle in the whole thing. Like, I thought it was going one way. Now it's probably going another. But I still don't know what it's going to look like.
It won't matter. We'll never find out who would tell us and how.
Les was super depressing a second ago, so now I don't even. Whatever. What's our last story?
All right. This will cheer you up. Damon
the next story.
Damon Lindelof has a new TV show coming on HBO. It's Watchmen, based on one of the best comic books of all time, and they've set a March 2018 filming date for its pilot.
Randy, you were right. I am excited.
It's happening.
Are they filming in Austin?
That'd be the only best thing.
Can I just be
that'd
in
be
another
amazing.
Lindelof show?
Yes, but you have to handle the blue dong. That's.
Oh, deal. Have to. My mouth is ready.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. Damon Lindelof has a giant blue dong.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw it in American Gods last season. Remember that Jin with a gigantic...
Yes, yeah, it's Damon Lindelof.
Okay, here's my problem with this article. They spelled Damon's name wrong. D-A-M-E-N? No, it's O-N, you fuckheads.
That is not the kind of journalistic integrity we expect from Screen Rant.
Come on. I know you always give Screen Rant a bunch of shit. Now I am. You guys get your shit together because we always use you because you're the easiest to just mine for headlines.
Grant, this is stay out of my territory.
I'm sorry. It's your turn. But I'm super excited because I follow this guy Damon Lindelof's Instagram. And he tweeted a picture that he drew when he was 10 years old.
Just of a giant blue dong.
Of Rorschach as Santa, and he was holding up a bag of heads saying ho 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 or something like that. And he was like, I drew this for my dad when I was 10 years old, and now I'm actually getting to write a script on this guy. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh shit, he actually was a legit fan from way back when. And I mean, I already trust this guy, even if he wasn't a fan. He was a Johnny come lately, but it's kind of a little bonus bona fides, I guess.
I mean, I know that's not people have been fans of stuff that properties they fucked up before, but I am excited about this. I think this looks great. The movie was a cold and beautiful homage to the comic.
It was the best version of the movie we were probably going to get.
Yeah,
to be honest.
But I mean, as a TV series done by Lindelof, I think it's funny that there's a headline on Screen Rant that says he wants the show to be dangerous because so many people announce how they want their shows to be safe and plain. But I'm excited. This is going to be good.
I will say this. Screen Rant did not do themselves do any favors for reminding me that he has done scripts for Prometheus and Tomorrowland.
Oh, fuck them.
I don't want him to fuck this up like those two things.
He also had to work on those scripts with other people.
Yes, yeah. But are we back to the part where we shit on Screen Rant? Can we do that again?
As long as you're not shitting on my boy Damon.
Because they close out with, perhaps the question now is, who will watch The Watchmen, ... on the small screen?
Fuck you.
So our main topic for the episode is to discuss this big merger that Disney has finally done all of us fanboys a favor and monopolized the industry by absorbing Fox Studios, and as a result, grabbing onto properties such as the Fantastic Four and the X-Men franchise and Deadpool and a few other little ancillary ones floating around there.
And all they're going to ask for the price of this is that we obey them, and probably they're going to just take over our government in about 10 years.
I mean, I feel like I've already been obeying them.
Yeah, I think they have our fealty already.
Yeah, fair enough.
They own us.
So a few years ago, when Marvel Studios was first going strong after the first few Iron Men and all of that, somebody put out a infographic that was like a big Venn diagram of so why can't you see X-Men? Why can't they say mutant? And it was like 3 circles of like, these are the studios that own the different properties, and I hadn't really considered it before, but if you turn it just right, it looks like a big fucking mouse head that has all of them in it.
Oh my god!
and so so now like it's just true. I was thinking that the other day, like, oh well, Fox had this, and then these guys had this, and
Sony
then,
had
nope, it's
Spider-Man.
all
and all that.
it's all shared now.
When Disney buys Sony, we'll know that it's all been completed.
Oh man! I mean, they could just go and bankroll, just say, "I own you now."
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, there's at least like some limited blood flow to that ear.
But. So now this could be a potential game changer for the television landscape, because if we look at, I'll go ahead and run down all of the shows that have been Marvel properties, have been Fox properties, and have been, I guess Sony hasn't really, but Agent Carter and the Defenders and Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Iron Fist, Inhumans, and The Punisher. Those are all the TV shows so far. 5 of those, including Defenders, 6 of those, I guess, including Defenders, have been Netflix shows. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans, and Agent Carter have all been ABC properties. And then we have the X-Men ones have been popping up. We have Legion over on FX, and we have The Gifted, which has been a Fox show. And then The Runaways, which has been over on ABC,
it's on Hulu.
Original.
It's a Hulu original.
It's a Hulu, rather. But I guess Hulu is owned by ABC.
Disney now owns an actually larger stake in Hulu than they previously did.
Yeah, Disney
so
owns...
I'm betting if any of them have a safe future, it's
Runaways. Yeah, because Disney owns 2/3 of Hulu now. Soon to be all 3/3 probably.
So Runaways, that was which world did that belong to?
Runaways is Marvel Universe.
That was Marvel.
But the Hulu TV version is basically isolated from everything.
Yeah, I feel like the changes that they've made from the comic, while not entirely in service of this, at least partly serve to insulate it from the rest of the Marvel Universe. Like, there's no need in the story right now that they have set up in that show for them to touch the rest of the Marvel Universe.
I mean, they have a mutant.
No, they don't. They haven't called it.
No, they don't.
She is not.
She is not a mutant.
Yeah, her eyes lighting up and everything. The strength, Molly. With the strength.
She's not a mutant.
She's not a mutant. It is heavily implied that she's been genetically modified.
Yeah.
She is not a mutant.
Okay, that's
she's
interesting.
She's not even Inhuman.
Whoa!
Yeah, no Terrigen mists, no X gene.
No, they have very much seemed to be indicating that she was like genetically modified.
And I really have to wonder if that was maybe not completely known to the writers, but at least somebody was smart enough to. They're not going to have to retcon anything. I mean, they can continue on as a pocket universe and never touch Marvel if they want to stay out of this fray, I feel.
So yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, what becomes of those Fox shows? What becomes of potential future shows? And what do we think will be the ramifications on existing Marvel shows? I mean, that's kind of all of it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, first of all, Inhumans was already dead. Inhumans was dead on arrival. Inhumans is gone.
Still amazed that is that airing still?
No, it's gone. It's dead.
Done, right?
It's done.
Was it canceled?
Yes. There's no future for
I feel like
Inhumans.
they even inadvertently put out a poster that, or a DVD set or something that they
like-
called
it
it the complete series.
They called it a mini series or something. Yeah. The Inhumans was DOA, and when the ratings came in, that put the final nail in that coffin. Inhumans was never going anywhere else.
I don't know if it's actually officially been canceled, though.
I don't know if they've actually put. I haven't seen like an actual announcement, but I feel like we're all wildly assuming. Who the fuck would still keep watching this?
If they put out Inhumans season 2, I will watch it.
Well,
that is how confident I am they are not going to put out a season 2 of Inhumans.
every single person when they first started all this Inhumans mess in the first place on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., every fanboy, every person watching with any kind of Easter egg eye for any of this shit went, why are you guys bringing up Inhumans?
Yeah.
Those were always shoehorned into the comics. Like, we watched it arc
wants
up in the
that.
comics arc, like in the comic side as well, going, oh, wow, you guys are working really hard to shore up this storyline, because no one has ever in the history of Marvel given a shit about the Inhumans. We can pretend Black Bolt's cool all we want. He's not. It's not great.
Someone did. I don't know what a good use for time travel. There's probably numerous good uses for time travel, invisibility, all that thing. If I had those powers, at least one of the things I would do, I want to find out who was the guy who was pitching Inhumans so hard to Marvel, who got them to try and replace them. Was it fucking Mike Perlmutter or whoever it is who was so
Ike
pissed
Perlmutter?
about? Yeah, was it him who was so pissed about the mutants being over at Fox that he like desperately searched through the comics? Like, someone pitched that so hard that they launched, no kidding, 4 ongoing comics. They put one of their best writers on it to try to make that happen in the comics. I mean,
feel like a room full of lawyers came back into the room full of writers and went, hey, so we found this one avenue that can let you guys keep all your superpowered people if you will rearrange all this other writing. And they went,
but
okay.
the Venn diagram of someone who went to law school and someone who loves the Inhumans, I mean, there can't be that many people, right, who hit both of those spots.
There's one sick bastard.
There's one guy who always thought Medusa was cool.
That's the thing. I don't think anybody loved the Inhumans. I think a bunch of lawyers who didn't love any of it went through and went, what are Inhumans?
But
use those.
But to know what they are, to even know what they are, it'd be like somebody coming in and being like, hey, you guys going to use Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu? How do you know who the fuck Shang-Chi is?
So the kind of decisions that got made through Heroes where people went, I don't think Tim Kring likes comics or has read any.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's that same level of like somebody wandered into a room and went, comic books, those are cool, right? What's that? Inhumans on the back of the moon? Badass. And everyone else in the room went, no there's 50 years of better stories than this. Literally everything else in comics is a better story arc than this.
Well, I mean, we all... Bad news, audience. Marvel Television has always been the redheaded stepchild of the Marvel universe and the Marvel industry. They basically took Agent Coulson, killed him off, and then someone said, hey, can I make a TV show off of him? They're like, sure, but it's not going to be in continuity, and fuck off, and we're not going to help you at all with anything.
Yeah, even Whedon complained about wasting his death in the movie.
Yeah, it's just, we'll throw you Sif if you want, and... we're not going to ever mention any of the other characters.
The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is so bad that when they tried to spin off their only good character, they couldn't even get traction on it.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
Mockingbird was going to have her own show, and the other show stunk so bad they wouldn't even go to a better show.
Yeah, that was the show. I would have watched that show that was the rocket ship escaping Krypton that I would have watched while Krypton burned.
Now, you said earlier, I would watch the Hawkford Files. I think there should be a Hawkeye show where they keep waking him up in a trailer on the edge of town, and he pulls the bow down hungover. Like, I'd watch the shit out of a Hawkeye show.
Jeremy Renner should play him too. It should be like the Jeremy Renner version of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye. I would read the show.
I am really worried that in the next year I will regret having ever said anything nice about Jeremy Renner.
Oh, Jeremy Renner's probably a piece of shit. Yeah.
Oh, he's skeevy.
Okay, I had a feeling, so I'm hoping on a recast on that. I
that's
feel
fair.
like I'm going to regret.
That's fair. That's a reasonable point.
Given
what we know about the world of 2017, yeah, there's probably something we don't want to know.
They're going to have to digitally edit Christopher Plummer's face onto all of the earlier Avengers movies.
Who would actually watch the shit out of that?
It's just Christopher Plummer on it. Oh, man.
Just make it a cutscene in the middle of Infinity War where Thanos is just fucking with things.
So here's the thing, and I will throw this bone because I know we have fans who really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I remember how excited I was for the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and how I was like, why does everybody hate this show so much? I thought it was really good.
This is not the first time you've given this speech.
I remember watching that show. I watched it for 2 seasons. I remember after Winter Soldier where I was like, oh, it's getting better again. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this. And they gave me Mockingbird, who's one of my favorite characters, and Adrienne Palicki, who is one of my favorite actresses, played her. Like, I will forever love parts of them for that. But ultimately, it's a terrible show. And I can't be sad about it going away.
Even when they went to space in the year 2091,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
to try and save the.
Is that really
where they
what
are
they
now?
did?
Yeah, they took all of them and they took them into space in the year 2091 to see how they might go back and like figure out a way to save Earth or some shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I stuck with this. I mean, you can go back and definitely find episodes of this podcast where I am defending the hell out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For all the reasons Randy said. They gave me characters I liked. They gave me actors and actresses I liked. I stuck with them through the Inhumans thing because I understood that they just couldn't say mutants.
Yeah, sure.
And they were grasping at straws. But I'm sorry that it never got better. I got tired of going, well, this isn't terrible. You can do better than isn't terrible when you're starting out with. I mean, what Disney just did by purchasing Fox is update all of the Grimm's fairy tales they own the rights to. We don't really like Grimm's fairy tales anymore. We have a new set of fairy tales. It's Star Wars and Aliens and all of the comic books, and they just bought all of them.
Yeah,
except for Warner Brothers. But since Warner Brothers can't seem to do anything with their 3 properties that they have, Disney now owns every other fairy tale or mythology I ever cared about. And then they can do better than watchable.
Yeah,
but apparently they fucking can't. Because like the Marvel Netflix shows were the best thing that they had done for me for quite a while, and really that was just by diving into the darkness. And at this point, you have a whole lot of we need to talk about Kevin shows.
So Avengers, we can go ahead and say, folks, we're going to discount it. If Marvel has not given a shit about them when they owned them and could have fed anything into them to make them good, they're not going to give a shit about them now, even despite this merger. So that's what's happening with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's pretty much what's going to go on with all of the Netflix Marvel shows.
Oh, for sure.
With the exception that there might be a glimmer of hope for those ones, because Disney is going to break its contact with Netflix once they're going to be moving over their shows to wanting to do the original programming on their own Disney channel.
I bet they end and reboot all of those.
Agreed. Yeah, why on earth would they pick up what is a flagging franchise? Like, it's
not just that, the tone of those won't fit on anything pure Disney branded.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they've picked up 4 characters that they can integrate into the MCU, and they're beloved characters.
Yeah, you're right. By dropping those off of Netflix, it takes them off the small screen, and it would free them up to be movie rebooted into the main MCU.
Oh man, a Daredevil movie, a Daredevil that exists in the same world as Spider-Man.
Actually, put Daredevil in Spider-Man 2.
I don't think they're going to make that Batman so Affleck's free.
Oh God!
Yeah. Here's the downside. They kept dancing around that Moon Knight show on Netflix, and I wanted Moon Knight to be on Netflix, and now it's not going to happen.
No, but it
would have been shitty.
I love Moon Knight.
It would have been good.
It would have been shitty.
It would have been really bad. I'm pretty sure whatever happens in 2018, it is not going to be the year for an entirely white-clad vigilante. I don't care how much I love Moon Knight. There's a costuming decision there that can't be justified.
You don't think entirely in white and a bit of a lunatic is a good mix? You don't think that's
I'm pretty sure that
angry, violent dude in a white hood is
So wait, crazy theological based ex-military vet in an all-white costume that's just shoots people kills people at night.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
Yeah.
Les, I think you just ruined one of my favorite characters for me.
I'm actually having trouble rereading Moon Knight now. I fucked that up for myself.
So the obvious answer, the likely answer is that everything that Marvel has done on TV this far is probably consigned to the scrap heap of history and well rid of it. Here's the issue that I see. Jeff Loeb is still high up at Marvel. He is still going to be the guy in charge, and he's definitely part of the problem.
Yeah, but he's part of... He's that guy that they can easily toss aside. If we're speculating on reinventing the TV landscape and then finally seeing the potential, Jeff Loeb is their scapegoat. Like, oh, we're going to do a whole new slew of shows that are actually going to be good.
Maybe.
And we actually have a much better template now because we just adopted 2 pretty good one's great show and one that you guys can talk a little bit more about here in a second, but Legion was fantastic. Legion is visionary, and I think a bit of a game changer in the potential of what superhero TV can be. And now that is under the Disney umbrella and under the Marvel umbrella, I think it might change a little bit of the narrative of what they want to do with TV. Then again, they might just treat it as a one-off and not actually return to it if it turns out that it's a little bit too stylistic for their vision.
Well, here's the interesting thing, and we'll talk about the mutant shows, because Legion is in a world where the X-Men exist.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be the X-Men of the movies. And that is the same thing for Gifted.
Yeah. We're assuming that these are all going to be merged universes. They don't have to be.
Yeah, because all the Gifted has made references to the X-Men being gone, but There's no indication it's the X-Men. In fact, there's reason to believe it's not the X-Men of the movies, just from some things they've done, some things they've said, the fact that Sentinels are around, but they're different Sentinels. Like, The Gifted seems to take place in a different X-Men universe. And Legion is the same way. Like, the X-Men are clearly a thing, but
Professor X
is a thing.
Clearly his father.
Well, we have no idea what timeline or what parts of Legion Season 1 are not hallucinations, but we really don't know what in Legion Season 1 really happened and what looked differently than what David thought.
It would be really easy to incorporate both those shows into a new cinematic TV universe that ties in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You know why I wouldn't think they would, though? Is because of, what's his name? Edgar Wright. When I think of Edgar Wright and Ant-Man, and that Edgar Wright had too specific and too dynamic of a vision for how he wanted to execute Ant-Man, and that didn't fit into the overall view of how Disney wanted this thing to operate. That's what I kind of think of Noah Hawley, and he has a very unique vision, and I think it's a little bit too edgy for Disney, and I don't think they're going to be too eager to have that be part of their shared universe.
I don't know, man. Noah Hawley worked with the Coen brothers. If he could interface with the Coen brothers, that dude can work with Disney.
Disney's safe, though.
What I'm hoping they'll do is leave some of these things as pockets, like that Disney will recognize that they can have a different brand and different tone.
Yeah.
For like leave Legion on a different channel and let it operate on its own and not have to connect it. While I would love to see Disney, I know they're going to pull shows to their own streaming network. I would love to see Disney do something crazy like go get Paul Dini or somebody who's just been a comic whiz from the past, and replace Loeb, and do a total tone shift.
Oh man. Have Noah Hawley do it.
But yeah, or like have Noah Hawley do it.
Noah Hawley
but
orchestrate the entire TV vision.
Yeah.
Because I definitely understand them not letting Edgar Wright do that much of his own thing. As much as I wanted to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Sure.
I get why they wanted to bring it in line with what they're trying to do with the MCU, which is really, the movie they're making is the MCU.
Yeah, I agree.
And these are all chapters.
Yeah.
But on a small screen, I would hope that they'll recognize that you don't need to combine it all, like that you can have all these disparate elements on the small screen.
If it's not incorporated into their MCU, they might just continue not giving a shit.
That's kind of what I'm hoping.
And that's possible.
I mean, I don't think that's going to go for the Netflix thing, only because Disney's operating their own streaming service, and I don't think they'll bring those shows directly over in the tone they are. Plus, they have notable fucking problems.
So here's the thing.
In 3 years, they're going to really start caring, I think, because they're going to see how valuable it can be, especially with net neutrality and them kind of running their own ship.
Yeah, if Disney has... Here's the thing. There is money sitting on the table that nobody's taking, which is if you make a TV show that is a weekly commitment to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, instead of every 4 months you can go to the theater and put down your $10 or $12 and see a chapter of this story that you love so much you're going to buy the Underoos. If you could do it every week and just reinforce that brand loyalty every week,
maybe that's damage control. Maybe that's
I can't see it being damage. I think you've got to go a little bit bigger. I think it's got to be. You've got to bring in you've got to at least go B-list on your heroes. That's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was never going to work. At best, it was going to be damage control. It was going to be, here's what it looks like to be a normal person in this universe. That's not an uninteresting story, but it's not the one that people want to see. They want to see Spider-Man. They want to see Iron Man. You've got to give them a little bit of the big guns.
That's why you want Hawkeye.
And that's why Hawkeye would work. Hawkeye is adjacent to the Marvel Universe. He's B-list.
Well, because there's a lot of times where the guys that can go to space and shit go to space, and Hawkeye's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. If you get the money, give me a story of Vision and Scarlet Witch and their married life.
Well, you guys have watched Gifted. I'm not actually caught up on this show, but I don't really know where this X-Men kind of ancillary franchise has gone and how it could integrate.
I think The Gifted would be hard to integrate into the Marvel Universe because it's a post X-Men show. It's about the mutant underground and
they make direct reference to the X-Men being gone.
Yeah, and the Brotherhood. Both of them are gone, and all that's left is this mutant underground that's fighting a resistance war against a powerful government enemy, and that's the Sentinel Services.
I love it as an in into this show,
Yeah.
because it allows them to play in all these characters, but give like a reasonable hand wave why a lot of your bigger guns aren't there.
Yep.
But it also makes it directly problematic to incorporate it into the
Yeah, I think
But this is already operating as an alternate history. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
basically.
in the Logan timeline, you think?
no, it's not. It's definitely in the X-Men timeline, but it's not the X-Men timeline we know. Like it wouldn't
Logan's in the X-Men timeline.
It wouldn't have to be those X-Men.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah.
don't that what they do with the X-Men is so hand waved away. They could reveal, and it could have been all in the 60s.
They
for all we
could
know.
easily have somebody walk on screen and introduce themselves as Eric, as Magneto.
Yeah,
Eric
yeah,
Lynch,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and not
Polaris is
be-
in the
yeah,
show.
Exactly.
And they
Yeah.
have Blink.
Here's the thing I found interesting about the Gifted, and I just binged the rest of it. It is run by Matt Nix, who did Burn Notice.
Yeah.
And if you were to say the guy who did Burn Notice is going to do an X-Men show, this is exactly what I would think we'd get. It's got that sort of scrappy underground vibe. The special effects are good for the budget they've got. Like, there's no point
Some
where
of them
I'm
are
embarrassed
great.
for them.
No, some of the special effects are wonderful. There's
Yeah.
a fight scene where basically they have like Blink open a portal and somebody like I think Eclipse like shoots a laser through the
Yeah.
portal. Like, so it's 2 or 3 people using their power in conjunction, and the shot's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it was as cool as anything the CW shows have done in their big fight scenes with Legends.
And that's what it's on that same level. It's a little less cheesy than the CW, but it's on that level. It's a crime show with mutants. Like, these guys are underground freedom fighters. One of them like has a history where he works with a cartel, and they go back to that. Like, it's a crime soap opera superhero show.
There's still some very USA soap opera. Like, it definitely still has
yeah.
that Matt Nitz vibe. And I will say the family that is at the center of it is the least interesting part of the show.
I
Those
agree.
2 kids, their power is a little weird.
Although when they revealed, this is about as close to fanboy clapping as I got when they revealed that they actually are tied to Fenris, because their name's Strucker.
Yeah.
And when they revealed that they decided to do Andreas and Andreas Strucker, the Fenris twins, who are from the comics, as like the German originators of this mutant power back in the 40s, I was like, oh, so they are related to them, and they are going to do something with those merch powers, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. The show also does something they aren't going to use. They've mentioned the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
But I mean, they used Emma Frost. January Jones played her in the First Class movie.
Yeah.
But
Let's forget that.
yeah, exactly. So everybody's hoping if they do bring on Emma Frost that they would recast her. But either way, they don't have to. They have at this point in the show actually introduced their first real psychic. And you spend a couple episodes Easter egging, thinking like, oh, Esme, cool. They name dropped that name.
Yeah.
She's one of the. Nope, she is. They brought in the Stepford Cuckoos. Which
is from
fucking
Morrison's
great.
run.
Yeah, and they are creepy as hell. I watch almost everything with captions on, and sometimes it does some weird spoil stuff.
Yeah.
Because the first time they speak, when all of them are on screen, it brings it up as Frost triplets.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. We are legit in the X-Men universe. You are Emma Frost's. You were somehow related to her.
But the other thing I think that really works is the characters. Like Eclipse, who's a new character. Like that character. I like their Polaris. I like their Proud Star.
I really like Polaris. She is great.
I really liked Beautiful Dreamer. And there was some big... And, of course, Garrett Dillahunt plays the villain, and he's great.
Yeah. I cannot believe it is Proud.
John Proudstar?
Yeah, John Proudstar. Not a character I really ever cared about in the comics.
He's great here.
He's great. I don't know that actor's name, but that kid really steals almost every scene he's in. He really sells a lot of the more emotional stuff. The actress that plays Dreamer.
Yeah.
I didn't always believe that she had any fucking remorse over
Yeah.
anything she was doing.
Right.
Like, she honestly seemed to give no shits about anybody. It made me not feel like she really cared about him, and consequently, it undercut a lot of her more dramatic scenes for me. But that kid really sold it. There were several soap opera moments of his thing with her and with Dreamer and Blink, where I was really looking to go in. Wow, man, you could have written this off as they could have got just Pretty Boy to sail through. This, and I really like that. I need to find out his name. I really like that actor.
Yeah, I think that it's a solid show. That said, if they decide to wipe it out so that they can do a fresh X-Men take, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to shed like if
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. It seemed like you guys are pretty invested.
I like it.
It
but
is really good, but we're not going to not have an X-Men show.
right.
Okay.
I would rather have with the costumes and the powers and all that shit.
They
yeah.
are gonna have an X-Men.
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I like a lot about this, but there's a lot about it I don't like that feels like the same old problems that happen with
Yeah.
every comic book show, because there's clearly 4 or 5 people on staff that don't fucking read these comics.
Yeah.
Since we're speculating anyway,
Yeah.
do you guys feel there's a way to take this show and merge it into an X-Men universe?
Yes, because I think if you reveal the X-Men of the Brotherhood were underground and they come back out and they emerge with the full-on powers and costumes and all that kind of thing, and they basically divide up the members of the Gifted, like, you know, Proudstar goes with them, and Eclipse, because of his thing, goes over to the Brotherhood, and Polaris goes whichever way, and then they become members of the X-Men of the Brotherhood. You could basically take these spare parts and put them in the show.
You don't think maybe they could like trip into an alternate universe at the beginning of the Origins or something?
No.
I'd rather them not do that. But has there been a show besides like the Star Trek shows where you've taken a TV show and moved that cast into the movie universe?
No.
Okay, maybe not the movie universe, but I was thinking like take a TV show and go, we have something here, but we're just going to take
I would
shift
like
it
them
into
to do
another
that.
TV show.
I think it would be cool as a thing to try if Disney went ahead and doubled down on the Gifted and what they've set up so far and spent next season establishing whatever you need to start the new X-Men universe.
Right.
So that the way that, the only good time that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really had was when it dovetailed into Winter Soldier, but you could have Gifted dovetail into the introduction of X-Men into the MCU.
Yeah.
And that would be fun.
Although, to be honest, I don't really want it. I could see it working, and I don't think they're going to do it.
As long as Amy Acker keeps working,
Sure,
they
that's
can
great.
stop this show and start over.
Yeah.
Well, let's move over to Runaways on Hulu because we touched on this a little bit, but I know you guys are more caught up in this show than I am. It doesn't seem like it needs to at all address it. This seems to be sort of in the camp of Legion and for the most part the Gifted. I don't really know, but at least Legion, in so much as like this could just be a show that exists outside of it.
This is definitely not the Marvel Universe.
No, I only know that it's part of the Marvel Universe because of the comic.
Yeah.
And that's even because of like later parts of the comic where they blend it in. And even then, it still throws me off sometimes when I flip through a Marvel comic and I see somebody from Runaways pop up and I go, oh, that's right. You guys are y'all are actually in this universe somewhere.
Yeah.
This TV show is wholly disconnected. It has also made a lot of changes from the comic, and I feel like some of those are in service of isolating it.
Yeah. And honestly, I love the comic. It's one of my favorite comics. And I think they've done a fantastic job with this. This is the way I would want it adapted for TV.
I'm not
really
fully
enjoying this show.
Yeah, I'm not fully caught up. I have a couple episodes. I'm behind you guys, but it's really fun.
It's really good.
It does teenage kind of angsty drama in a way that makes it not. It's very palatable to me, I guess. It doesn't come across like something on the CW. It's more like Friday Night Lights, I guess, to me. I buy that these are real people. I buy their relationships with each other, and I'm kind of invested in that, and I'm rooting for all of them. I'm actually waffling back and forth on the parents and where they are as bad or good people, because the performances across the board are really good, and I'm really impressed with the parents.
That's the biggest change they made to the show, was to give the parents as much of the spotlight as the kids, and I think it could have gone wrong, and it didn't. I think it works great.
I'm with you. It could have gone really wrong, but I like it. One of the things we talked about early on was that they've not run away yet.
No.
And it's a little weird. And in the comic, they find out their parents are villains, and then they fucking split.
That's it.
That's it.
End of issue 1.
And I really like it on the show that these are their parents.
Yeah.
They're having fractures within the group of kids, not because the kids necessarily don't like each other or aren't still friends or whatever, but because you don't fully turn on them. You saw your parents do a bad thing, but like it's still your parents. Like, what are what were their reasons? Well, look, can we talk to my parents and find out why they might have done this? It felt more realistic to me. I also like, even though she's not in the comic, the addition of the dead sister Amy.
How that affects that whole
provides
dynamic.
a wonderful catalyst to why their friendship was a little fake anyway. I mean, you're friends because your parents are friends, and then you have this thing happen. To me, it was just this wonderfully rich immediate relationship set up to mine from.
I mean, I wonder how much of this is all inspired by Brian K. Vaughan's work. I wonder how much of this was him being able to kind of reflect on what he initially did and going, man, if I had a chance to kind of adjust things, if I had a way to like modernize, I would have done this and this and this, and like, and that's him also kind of getting to have his input as well.
I wonder that too, because I know a lot of people were really mad about the change from the comic, but when the comic creator is involved in the show,
and proud of it,
and I am not 100% on Brian K. Vaughan's television work. Under the Dome was god awful.
Never let him forget.
Mostly because like I must have told at least 5 people what a fucking great writer this guy was.
Under the Dome, man.
And why this was going to be good, and the show just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like, you have source material. Why are you making these decisions? But on this show, I feel the same. Like, he looked at his source material from quite a while ago, and then got to make this show, and I do feel like some of these things probably help isolate the show so that, like, we're not dependent on other properties and we can move forward on our own.
Which is interesting. Like, no, this doesn't have to be in the Marvel verse. In fact, it's kind of like, why would it be?
And I kind of have to wonder if maybe, conversely, back then when he was writing Runaways, he had a more standalone idea, but he had to make it touch the Marvel verse.
Yeah, I think that to some extent
because it was a Marvel comic. And so I wonder, like, getting to redo it now, like, well, what did I love about this premise? I'm sure there's probably one out there, but I'd really love to read a long interview with Vaughn about what goes into changing your own property like that.
Yeah.
It's weird that, like, you're supposed to think, like, there's something kind of shitty about all the parents, but I adore the nerdy science parents that have the dinosaur.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Like, they are so lovable, and I'm like, the only thing I can think of, like, and I don't know if this has been revealed yet, but the only thing I can think of is that do what I say or your kids are dead. And that's kind of their situation. They want to run away, but they can't.
It's certainly being implied, I think. I mean,
y'all are an episode behind me. Someone says that outright.
Yeah. It's got to be that, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be,
I mean, like,
or your kids are dead.
Eventually. There's definitely more going on. They're not purely being coerced over that.
But
at one point in the episode I've seen, somebody actually says that.
But the Spike dad, he's fantastic too. Like,
he's good.
How he can, like, go from a cartoonishly angry guy to, like, you kind of feeling bad.
And there's reasons for that,
and they've
too.
given a justification for why he gets cartoonishly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just his brain cancer, right?
It's something in that. There's more to it.
Because it feels like it's been going on for longer than he had brain cancer.
Great. I really like the explanation. They have they drive it home pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a really good show. And here's the thing. I don't think it's necessarily affected by what goes on. I think it could stand alone on its and leave aside whatever Disney does with the Marvel TV.
I just want to see all the Hulu shows dovetail into a shared Huluverse.
Oh my gosh, this with Path.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was like when Eddie comes back from a sojourn in Peru with the Fistigons and, like, whoops the shit out of Cowl on the Path. That'll be awesome.
You know what? The kid who's playing Alex was in Casual as, like, one of the flings for the young. Right. So what if it's revealed that was all just a double blind where he was just trying out a normal life, and then he comes back here? Yeah, no, I can see it.
Shared Huluverse. Get on this.
Well, and Eliza Coupe, she was on Casual
and Hulu Future Man,
and now she's on Future Man. So I think you reveal that Tiger, one of her time travel trips, was to become a polyamorous girl and having. So Casual is kind of at the heart. Casual is the Avengers of the Huluverse.
Yes.
You know, one thing I would change about Runaways is that title sequence. That song, like the song with the visual. I kind of like the song. Yeah. It's like,
but it's a weirder, darker tone than the rest of the show.
It almost reminds me of Alias with that kind of whiny tone that's going on there. But yeah, like, I don't get the visual.
I half watch credit sequences anyway. So
okay, well, here's a few other properties I just want to touch on real quick because we're getting to the end of our episode, folks. But Cloak and Dagger and New Warriors were at least picked up for series.
New Warriors was already canceled. They already said they're not doing it.
So, okay, New Warriors.
They cast and backed off of a Squirrel Girl show.
Yeah, I mean, they already did that.
Just go for it.
Well, no, because the girl they cast do the voice, they're launching an animated series that's going to be Spider-Gwen, who they're trademarking as Ghost Spider, which is a better name, and Squirrel Girl, Miss Marvel, America, all those characters, all their sort of female and diverse characters, they're going to make an animated series. It's going to be a bunch of shorts,
All right.
and then an animated movie, and they're using that actor.
As long
so
as I get some New Warriors
I,
and Squirrel.
I believe that basically it is a use every part of the buffalo kind of thing. They're like, we got this great actress, the show's not working, let's lift her out and
Now,
use her as the voiceover.
That trailer for Cloak and Dagger, I really liked.
I did not.
Loved Cloak and Dagger, and I'm looking forward to whatever Freeform does. To me, based on how teen angst and drug after school special, the origin of Cloak and Dagger was, Freeform is a fine channel for this.
As far as I can tell, New
Pretty little
Warriors
superheroes.
has not been canceled, but it's not going to air on Freeform, which, to be fair, was ABC Family.
was that all? They're just going to move it somewhere?
And so far, the series will be shopped elsewhere, and that's where the status stands. They're
Okay.
looking to
All
put
right.
it elsewhere, but they have not picked a location for it. So we don't know. That still has what's her name, Milana Weintraub, the girl from
Yep.
the AT&T commercials
and Other Space, your beloved
Other
Other
Space.
Space.
It's so good. But we don't know if it's been picked up elsewhere. And Cloak and Dagger, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily feel that much hope for dramatic things changing in the TV landscape. I think that the business deal that Disney did with Fox was so that the MCU can dramatically change with more characters being added to Phase 4, Phase 5, whatever.
But that said, look at how much potential there is in TV. We've seen this. I mean, obviously, we do a fucking TV podcast. There is so much potential to bring these characters to the small screen and do it right. And they've had 2 or 3 goes at it, and they haven't managed it yet. But there's definitely a way to make that work. Like, to mimic what they've done in the cinematic universe, that shared universe thing in movies, on TV. The budget's different, but the serial format of comics translates so easily into the serial format of TV that someone should be able to make that work. CW has made it work at a certain level as sort of Bronze Age goofy. If Marvel or Disney can make basically the Marvel equivalent, the modern day, not quite Bronze Age, more like the current age comics, where it's like serious but has one foot in the goofiness of comics, just like the Marvel movies do, you could launch a juggernaut of TV, and maybe that's what this de-streaming will be.
Yeah, I feel like Disney streaming is going to maybe be the best case. Maybe it'll be the most optimistic parts of AOS and Agent Carter and those kinds of things, mixed with the shared universeness of building Daredevil and all of that into Defenders. Because I loved seeing their plan of doing all of the Marvel Netflix shows, knowing that they were arcing towards Defenders.
Right.
I just didn't like that they kept doubling down on the worst ideas of it.
Yeah, it's the tone, not the. There was nothing wrong with the plan of Netflix. The plan of doing more street level, affordable characters like Luke Cage and Daredevil and Iron Fist and all those guys, and then arcing them into a team together. That's a great plan. The execution was flawed. So there's no reason they can't do that again with sideline Avengers characters. Or,
you know what? I keep thinking about Iron Fist. I'm like, how did they take that character and not do his origin story?
Yeah.
His origin story was actually really interesting.
Yeah, and instead you literally get like the year after it.
Yeah, they take him punching the heart of a dragon and make it a punchline.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Show that.
Meacham
Show the
show.
quest.
Like,
show that
if
whole
anything,
thing.
that was the origin story of the Meachams. Like,
Yeah. And that's the thing. It was all the execution. It was not, and this is why Jeff Loeb being involved worries me. Remember, Jeff Loeb's been around since like Commando. This is a guy who knows how to stay entrenched in Hollywood, so I'm not sure he's going to be as easy as X to X size as you think he is. I hope. But he's a likable guy who gets work done. That's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, I know, but seeing that Disney is taking a little bit more interest in the TV landscape, that they are trying to option some Star Wars TV shows that might come to fruition with their new their Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Seeing that they are kind of considering some other potential Marvel shows.
Yeah.
This does give me, I don't want to say hope, but it does give me, I'll say hope, that they will fix some of these problems with these other shows. They will recognize which ones just need to drop. Maybe not even put stuff on ABC, which anything that's on a network it's limiting.
Yeah.
And I see, the freedom that they even have with CBS having Star Trek now on their All Access is that they can drop an F-bomb if they want, or they can have Klingon tits on there if they need, and like that has allowed them a certain degree of freedom to explore story in a more mature way in which the TV landscape is kind of moving, and maybe Disney will cotton on to that and make that shift as well and actually embrace the television format.
I think you're right. I think Discovery is the way forward for them, because that is a brand that always said a certain thing, and when they put it on streaming, basically what they did is they took the elements of the brand that people liked, but they made it the prestige TV version of it. And the only way to do that is on a streaming network. You can't do that anywhere else. I mean, they sort of did it with Legion and FX. That is sort of the prestige TV version of the X-Men. But that's kind of what that's the North Star they should be guiding by, is let's do the prestige TV versions of our characters. Let's not do Monster of the Week version of our characters, which is what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was, basically. This attempt to do sort of X-Files, but in the Marvel Universe. Like, that's not going to work. You need to do what Star Trek Discovery did. Do an arc. Get a great showrunner. You can't just assume the characters have the audience. You have to bring the audience.
It really hadn't occurred to me until now, but Gifted versus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're taking second-tier B-level characters and you're showing me the day-to-day workings of like the people left behind when everybody else goes to space to fight the big fights.
Right.
But Gifted doesn't Monster of the Week at all.
No,
every week is in service of this larger
fully
plot
serial
of like
story.
how fucked y'all are.
Yeah.
And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the only good moments I can think are when they started to get into the larger arcs with Grant.
Yeah. Serial storytelling is the way to go. I mean, that's obviously the way to go. And for fuck's sake, that's what comics are. Comics are a big serial story. That is what they should be doing. That is the closest thing that TV and comics have in common as a medium, is that they're serial storytelling, and they should really lean into that strength.
I'm hoping small screens realize what the large screen has realized, that superhero is not the genre, that other things are the genre, and that we can just have
Superhero
like
the trappings.
I mean, like Damage Control. Well, Powerless was a bad example, but you can have a superhero sitcom. You can have a superhero Rockford Files. You can, or Down and Out detective show. You can have a superhero Alias. I would watch a Black Widow show.
Oh yeah, actually, if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had been more like Alias, I'd be all over that show.
So reboots are all the rage. Why don't we have mashups? Like, reboot me some past shows. Like, give me Charlie's Angels and skin it with Marvel characters. Give me Rockford Files and skin it with Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking easy is this?
Yeah,
Like,
this is easy, and you're right. That's the other. But I was said the North Star should be prestige TV, but you're right. That's the North Star. Find the stuff that's easy, and just kind of put Marvel on top of it.
What do you want to reboot? Reskin it.
That's the easy way to do it. If doing a prestige TV version of a show is too hard, if taking Black Widow and making it basically the equivalent of the Americans, if that's too hard, then fucking make it the equivalent of make it Alias.
So yeah, I mean, like, you just take the Inhumans, and you have like Black Bolt living there, like in the palace, and you just do honeymooners on the moon, Alice.
On the moon. All in service of that pun. I like that Randy was like, no.
This is why Black Bolt never speaks. It's not strength of voice, it's just bad puns.
His voice literally punches her to the moon. Domestic abuse is terrible. Hey, EJ, we want to thank you so much for recommending this episode. And, fellow listeners, if you guys aren't already a patron, please go to patreon.com/tvdudes. Make a pledge. We really appreciate it.
Remember, at the $30 level, Grant will have to watch 3 seasons of Mad About You.
I thought I said $35, but remember,
30.
If Inhumans gets renewed for a second season, Randy's going to watch all of it.
That's true. I did say that. Yes.
I'll go in $15 on one of these.
But yeah, once again, patreon.com/tvdudes. EJ, thank you. This was actually a really fun conversation. We will be back next week. It'll be 2018.
The
next
future.
Week. We'll be back in the future, a whole new year. We'll be back in a year.
This weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna have cybernetic implants. I'm gonna look like Lobot.
Oh my God.
Actually, I'm just gonna be wearing a headset.
Oh, that's kind of cool, dude.
Yeah.
All right, TV Dudes out. The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes, and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.